Hi, hello, and welcome to Executive Lens. Today I have a special guest with me. Since I'm a radio jockey, we also love to call ourselves storytellers. We start our day with stories, we end our day with stories, we share stories. But right now, I have an amazing storyteller with me who writes as well as directs films. So I have with me Mohana Rajakumar, the founder and director of Short Film Lab. She's a best-selling novelist and also an award-winning filmmaker. Welcome, Mohana.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
How are you doing?
Yeah, well, every day is a reason to celebrate.
Yeah. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.
Exactly.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, tell me something about your storytelling journey. How it started?
I was always interested in stories. I think my mom really gave me a passion for reading. She used to take us to the library every Saturday.
Okay.
So from that, I think if you're a reader, storytelling is just innate because you're always kind of in somebody else's mind. So I first wrote a short story for a teacher in elementary school as a birthday present.
Okay. So that's how your journey about storytelling started?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So, see, as you said, being a reader, storytelling comes naturally to you. You're always in somebody else's mind, and which is one book that has been with you through these times, like from your childhood to your adulthood.
I think there's so many, but I was actually at a friend's house recently, and her son was reading The Secret Garden.
Okay.
Frances Hoggs Burnett, and that is the first book I remember asking my parents to buy for me.
Okay.
Because we were reading it in class, but we were only reading one chapter at a time.
Okay.
And I wanted to know what happened in the story, so I convinced my parents to buy it, and I read the whole thing in the weekend.
Do you still remember
Yeah.
portions of it? Do you still have it? Do you still keep it?
I don't have it anymore, but I remember the story very vividly. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So, tell me something about the transition that happened from being a reader and a writer to a filmmaker.
So I have COVID to thank for that, because I think boredom is actually a gift if you can stomach it. Because I think nowadays we have so many things that we can go to instead of being bored. But if you get bored, it's actually a big gift, because then it forces you to do something. So during COVID, my children were very young. This is 6 years ago. I think they were about 9 and 6. And we were all stuck in the house together, and I just thought, I'm gonna have to find a new creative outlet, otherwise I'm gonna lose my mind.
Okay.
And I thought, what can I do with this very specific set of skills that I have? Screenwriting, and just novel writing in general. And I thought, okay, screenwriting. Writing is writing. And so I learned on the internet how to adapt your books into screenplays, and I wrote my first one.
So I just want to ask something related to this. So you learned how to adapt a book into a screenplay. So how do you decide while reading a book that, okay, this can be adapted into a screenplay, or any book can be adapted into a screenplay?
Every book could be adapted into a screenplay, just like every story could be made into a book, but I'm not sure it should.
Okay. So what is that criteria for you?
Well, you have to think, films, the beautiful thing about a book is that it asks the reader to participate, right? You have to imagine what the characters look like, and they give you a lot, but you're still doing it in your mind.
True.
But a film is doing all that work for you. So when you're reading something, you have to think cinematically, would this be interesting?
Okay.
And then also practically, could you shoot this?
Okay. So cinematically interesting is one phrase that you used. Elaborate more on that, please.
We've all been to the theater when you're sitting there and you just think, okay, I want to leave because this is terrible, right? So that would be a lack of, I think, the narrative that's being told on screen engaging. Okay. Then we've all also seen trailers for movies where you think, how did this get made? This looks so, insert adjective. Who put up the money for this? But that means somebody thought people would pay ticket money to go and see it, or pay a streaming service to watch it. So for me, for something to be cinematically interesting, it's character-driven. I tell character-driven stories anyway. So you need to be interested in the character, what's at stake for them. You need to be rooting for them that they succeed.
Beautiful, beautiful. One movie that you watched recently, which was like mind-blowing for you?
Well, I've been watching a lot recently since we have more time, a bit more time at home these days. So let's see. There's this amazing Brazilian film called The Secret Agent.
Secret Agent. Okay.
And it's about actually in the 70s in Brazil when the government was very corrupt and on many, many levels. So not just the police, but also in terms of businesses, what they were allowing businesses to do and things like that. So it follows a professor actually who was an informant about toxic waste and what happens to him. And it's just, you learn so much about this neighborhood, this place where he goes to hide out. He kind of goes into witness protection. And it's just a really amazing movie.
Let's talk about your literary works.
Okay.
What were the inspiration for your works? So please introduce the audience about your work, the name of the books, and what were the inspiration behind the books, and what made you write it? Not just the inspiration, but the journey of writing a book.
Yeah, so all of my stuff is on Amazon. It's on all of the Amazon stores worldwide. So Canada, India, England, North America, and in print and in digital forms. So that makes it much easier now to get to audiences around the world. But my very first short story collection that I wrote in graduate school, it was because I felt that people didn't understand the experience that the characters were going through, and I wanted them to have that experience. So all of my stories and my films, they focus on strong female characters who are in unusual settings and they have a cultural element. So at that time I was starting with the expat Indian experience in America, what it felt like at different levels, because I was experimenting with short stories. Okay.
So most of the time we can see that people who write, they take inspiration from things around them. As you said, your stories were initially based on the expat experience in America. What are the other aspects of life that you focus on while writing? Like not just the expat experience, but something that you have noticed, or some pattern that you have noticed around you that you would love to write about. Is there anything like that?
What would I like to write about next?
Yes.
So now I'm very much focused in film. So it's funny because when people who knew me when I was an author see me now, they're like, "Oh, what are you writing now?" It's like, "Oh, I don't do that anymore." So right now what I'm working on is I wrote a crime series that's set in the Arabian Gulf. It's called Crimes in Arabia, loosely based on some things that have happened in the news from news headlines. So I adapted all three of those books into a feature screenplay. And recently I was at the European Film Market in Berlin, and I knew for Europe, it's kind of, they want much more of a kind of Europe-centric kind of vision. So I recast this female-led thriller set in the Middle East that has an espionage element for the European setting. And what I found was the people who were most interesting and the most availability of funding were in Ireland. So now I'm rewriting that entire script for an Irish setting.
From an Irish perspective?
From an Irish perspective, and now the espionage element has transformed into human trafficking. So I think as a writer, for me, I did my whole artistic license thing as a novelist, where I didn't make changes because I believed in my art and I wanted to serve the story.
Genuinity.
Yes, exactly. But authenticity. But this time I'm really going for the commercial element, because if you don't get things made, then no one sees it, and then you can't get other things made.
True. But as an artist, don't you feel it becomes a bit conflicting when your artistic vision gives you one way, but the commercial necessity makes you think otherwise?
No, because there's no other field where we have this kind of dichotomy. We expect artists to be poor, we expect them to not make any money, we expect them to honestly not make great decisions and maybe have some addictions or bad habits. But why? I mean, if you look at, for example, in the medieval art, or you look in the 16th and 17th centuries, artists had patrons who all they did was pay them. They were paid a salary and they could make whatever they want. So if you look at Michelangelo, if you look at David, if you look at the Sistine Chapel, he was on an actual salary, which probably allowed him to free up his mind to make things like that. So even Shakespeare had Queen Elizabeth as his patron. So I actually think that if we provided more stability to more artists, we'd have more art in the world.
Oh, that's a beautiful thought process. You most of the time while you're growing up, especially in the subcontinent, if you are trying to pursue arts, you will be discouraged. They say that it has no future.
Yeah.
If you want to become a singer, do one thing, study engineering, then become a singer. Or if you want to become an artist or a painter, do medicine or do law or do anything, with a professional degree, so that you have that backup. But I think this kind of thought process should be instilled in every culture, every civilization, every country, where people, help to make an ecosystem where art can also flourish, artists can also flourish. And now coming to the other aspect, the executive aspect of this podcast, you are the founder and director of Short Film Lab. As you mentioned in your previous answer, the dichotomy that an artist faces. Similarly, these are two contrasts that we can experience. An executive and an artist, they don't go together. An executive is a person with a structure, works in an organized way. An artist is a chaotically organized person. So how do you balance both these spheres of your life?
So I think that's also kind of a stereotype that we have to think about, who does that serve? Because if you look at some of the most successful authors in the world, like if you look at Stephen King, for example, he talks about how he drops his kids off at school and then he goes to his desk and he writes for 6 hours, and that's his job.
Whoa.
And that's how he's able to write book after book. John Grisham, a lot of these well-established, and you notice I'm using a lot of male names, right? So people who might not have elder care or child care or other things that they have in the midst of their day. So I think we really need to ask ourselves, and this is a global moment where there's so much conflict, there's so many things. Even this week with the Artemis 2 launching, people are kind of amazed again by space, and when, I don't know about you if you've seen some of the images, but when you look at Earth from the moon and you realize we're so small. Why are we spending all this time like running on these little treadmills chasing other people's symbols? Because I was the same as you. I come from South Asian background, and I always had this creative side, and I was told I don't think I was ever actually expressly said, don't do this, but it was in the atmosphere. Yeah, it was in the atmosphere. And I remember having dinner at a friend's house, and her mom had seen me in a play, and so she said, "You're amazing. Like you should do that. Why aren't you doing that?" And I said to her, like, "Well, I think it's really hard." And I remember my friend's dad sort of giving the mom a look like, don't go down this road with her, because you're not going to be the one coaching her. Yeah. I saw all of this, or I read it in my mind, this look. Yes. And here I am now, I'm 47, and I've done my PhD, and I'm almost close to finishing. My children are teenagers, and what am I doing? I'm doing that thing which I did in elementary school, which was write a story for my teacher. Wow. So I think we really need to look at this, and we need to look at how we support children and students and whoever, because if you have that kind of impulse or streak or whatever you want to call it, it's going to come back up. And this idea of the messy, irascible genius who's like a threat to themselves and they don't know how to do things, I think that's also
a construct made by the society
of the past. Yeah, you don't have to be crazy to make, you don't have to, Van Gogh, he cut off his own ear, but we think now that he probably actually had some psychosis that was undiagnosed. So imagine if somebody had actually gotten Van Gogh the help that he needed, we would have had even more paintings, So I just think this idea that art makes you crazy, it's obviously coming from somewhere, and it's circulating in a lot of societies.
True.
But when you think about the moments that are worth living, it's never because you're sitting at a desk from 9 to 5. What? Was it like, oh, I wrote this amazing email, yay! No. Even the astronauts that are sending us things from the moons are sending us poetry, right? And right before they left, they gave each of them a chance to say something. And one of them said, we're going for all humanity. He didn't say, I'm going to make money for NASA.
No.
You know, I'm going to help Elon Musk make a better rocket. You know, like,
Yeah.
so when we think about the best things of ourselves, the things that we want to make us feel alive, it's never engineering and lawyering and, you know,
Medicine.
those things, right?
This brings me to the very famous dialogue from a very famous movie, Dead Poet Society.
Yes.
I have wrote it down. Let me read it for you. Medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for. And see, as you said, every professional course or every professional journey is important to sustain life. But that is not life. In order to survive, you learn these trades, you work in these trades. But in order to strive, you do poetry, you listen to stories, or do something, you know, which is very creative. And from a very different point of view, creativity or the act of creating something is such a profound way of living. Like, universe is created, the earth is created. See, I'm not saying who created it or God, is there a God or not. No, it's not the debate. The whole point is the act of creating a story or a poem or a screenplay makes you or gives you that high, which is very universal and which can only be felt when you create something. And people don't understand that.
I think people do understand it. I think it's so, you know, you don't have to be a believer in order to say that there's a divine hand. I don't think, because the exact specificity of this earth, of the chemical makeup of our bodies, it's a very hard argument to say that happened by chance. Now, we don't have to say who did it, but it's clear, right? There are forces at work.
True.
And even children have that kind of awe and wonder, because they're always asking, but how, you know, is the plane flying? Or but why is water sometimes a mist, and why is it sometimes frozen? I think that wonder gets frozen, choked out of us. School, unfortunately, I think. Education
system as a whole. Basically.
Yeah, because it's not founded on curiosity and exploration. It's more about, I think it's very antiquated. It was preparing people maybe to work in a factory in some places, maybe to...
Probably, you know, to work in an organized structure where, you know, we're not supposed to ask questions. I think this brings me to another question which I had in mind. Curiosity, you know, they say necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
I will rephrase it as curiosity is the mother of all creation. Whatever you see, it's not just necessity. Somebody was curious. Okay, why is this thing not here? What if this was a bit different? Whatever you see around you is a product of curiosity. Whether it is your watch, your phone, everything is a product of curiosity. So, how important is curiosity, or not to lose that curious self that you have when you are a kid? Especially for an artist, not just for a scientist or any other profession, but for an artist, how important is the element of curiosity?
I think even if we say that things are made by necessity, it's like, why isn't this working? Which is kind of to your point, where that is an element of curiosity, right? What's going on here? How can we fix it? So, yeah, you know, there's kind of one of these like mantras, which is like, stay humble, stay curious, stay weird. That like all these three things are connected.
Yes, I think this was said by Steve Jobs. Stay humble, stay curious, stay foolish.
Stay foolish, yeah.
Yeah, yes. But yeah, curiosity, I always believe that curiosity is an important factor for me. If I'm doing a show, I'm thinking, okay, I might know things. I might have read certain things. It's not necessary that somebody else might have.
Right.
Okay. So, as a radio host, my job is to make sure that I deliver something which makes people think, gives them a piece of knowledge, also makes them curious. Okay, this is like that. Okay, fine. So it leaves a trail of, you know, questions behind. What if something else would have happened? For example, recently I read one really amazing thing. So it goes like, universe is finite is an assumption. Universe is infinite is also an assumption. if universe is infinite, there's a probability which goes like anything that can happen will happen. For example, we are sitting here having this podcast. I am wearing a black shirt, black pant. You are wearing a colorful dress, okay? So in a parallel universe, I might be wearing a colorful dress, you might be wearing a black shirt, black pant. In a parallel universe, you might be interviewing me. So anything that can happen will happen. So when I talked about this, there was a response. People were like, okay, what about this thing? So the idea of generating curiosity is also important as an artist. I think it also don't you think it becomes a responsibility of an artist also to make people curious?
Yeah, I think it's a tricky one because there's art for art's sake, then there's art kind of to make a living,
Okay.
right? Then there's art for consumption, and then there's art for yourself. So this is why when I used to teach people how to write books, I would always say to them, you have to be very clear about why you're writing your book. If you want to be J.K. Rowling, that's one thing. If you want to capture your grandmother's story for future generations, that's another thing. If you're just trying to maybe process things that are happening to you, third thing. So when you assign an artist a responsibility, I think that's tricky. Either the artist, like Banksy, for example. Banksy obviously assigned a mission to himself, right? Which was to raise public awareness about these important issues and had a very kind of specific path in which he wanted to do that. I think it's hard to tell all artists to do that. I think that kind of mission-minded or driven content has to come from the artists.
It's not
themselves.
A necessity. If you want to do it, you can do it. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, you especially as a writer and even as a filmmaker, maybe you have an intention, but once it goes out into the world, it's a participatory thing, right? So people have read my books before and said, oh, and then this and this and this happened, and I was like, I don't really? Is that okay? But the characters are theirs now. They're both of ours, right? And that's. I was very jealous. I got a chance recently to go to the Warner Brothers Harry Potter studios.
Okay.
And if you ever, even if you're not a Harry Potter fan, if you have a chance to go, it's just outside London, about 30 or 40 minutes. And I just couldn't believe one mind convinced all these people to participate in this story with her. And just the power of that and the lasting, because it's been 20 years, I think now, of Harry Potter. And they have all the sets, and they have his house, and they have the Grimwald's vault. And I didn't even really read it that closely, and my kids kind of were in and out of it. But just, I was in awe that she was able to do that. Not even from the commercial side, but just from the aspect of like, I made this world, and now it's influenced generations. And it will for generations to come.
Yes.
And I think it's very rare. It's once or twice in a generation you get something like that.
The reason I asked this question is because, as you said, it's a bit tricky space. It has layers because there are a lot of places in the world where people are saying that artists should have a responsibility of doing what is right.
Well, people expect a lot from role models, right? We see this also with sports people. We see this with political leaders. We see this even with community members. And J.K. Rowling's an interesting example because she's disappointed a lot of people recently with some of her recent views. And I think people have a right to say, I don't want my money to go to that person, or I have changed my opinion about this person. Whether you can separate the art from the artist is a legitimate question, and I think it's very personal.
Yes. And I think the whole debate of separating art from artist deserves another podcast also. So before we wind up, one last question. What advice would you give to aspiring storytellers who are exploring both the mediums, writing and filmmaking?
So, I mean, my kind of advice to anyone who wants to do something is to just start. So it doesn't matter if you want to write a story, you want to make a movie, you want to, try out for the Olympics. You're not going to get anywhere just sitting in your house scrolling on Instagram or TikTok or whatever your social media poison of choice is. And I do call it poison because while we are consuming the content of others, we're not doing anything.
You're not creating anything.
We're not creating anything. And that's the difference, I think, between social media and art, is that social media doesn't ask us to participate at all. When I'm reading a book, I'm an active participant. When I'm watching a movie, I should be an active participant. I could be, especially if I'm not using a second screen. If I'm literally there, consumed
You're
by the story.
actively witnessing the story.
Yeah, music, going to a museum, sports, all of these things. But the minute you put that screen between you and the activity, then you become a consumer. And it's actually, I think, far more damaging, studies have shown, to consume somebody else doing something than to try to do something and fail at it. Because your brain is sort of like, oh, well, I don't have to do that. That person is doing it.
Yes.
And then it puts you in this whole cycle of it. It's bad for our mental health. It's bad for our physical health. Obviously, it's isolating. It can be isolating, and on and on and on.
Yeah.
So that would be my main thing, is like, put the phone down, walk away from the TV.
That is the most motherly statement.
But and I say it to myself as well.
True.
There have been times, especially recently with the news cycle and things, where I realized, like, oh my gosh, it's been 30 minutes or it's been 45 minutes, and I've literally just been reading or sending or texting people. So it takes a lot of discipline. But I think we are so much consuming other people's content, and a lot of the content, unfortunately, it's my opinion, is bland, vapid, purposeless, that it's actually, it's like the equivalent of eating, only burgers for lunch 30 days in a row. That would be terrible if you did that. It doesn't matter where the burger's from, it would be terrible for you. And that's what excessive, I think, scrolling does for us. So my advice would be to start, whether it's to write a story, write a screenplay, just any small action. Energy begets energy. So you have to start somewhere.
Wow. Energy begets energy.
It does.
Wow, beautiful.
That's physics.
Wow. See, that's the beauty of art. When you're into it, everything, whether it's science or not, you can connect to it. And thank you so much, Mohana, for
it was a pleasure.
sparing your time and having this conversation with me. And all the best for all your future endeavors. And I hope that, one day I also get a chance to be a part of your movie.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.